Hello everyone, welcome to today's video, and those who are new to my channel, a very warm welcome. And also please like, share, subscribe this channel to folks who are working in EDI industry, EDI technology. Also hit the bell icon for getting notified of more such videos. So in with that, like, let's get started with our today's topic. Today's topic is very interesting topic, and the topic is basically talking about the pros and cons of traditional EDI versus van or value added network. All right. So if you haven't heard about it, let me give you a quick background of what exactly is van or value added network, and what's the difference between a traditional EDI and a WAN network. So typically, like so far in my previous videos, right, and what we have discussed is traditional EDI tools, right? Like for example, Sterling B2B Integrator is a traditional EDI or middleware tool that you use or any company uses for sending or receiving files. So this diagram that you see over here talks more about those kind of traditional EDI tools or applications where you have one is to one or point to point connections between your trading partners and your own company, right? So you basically create different kind of communication setups, right? Like if you go through a typical onboarding process, there's a new trading partner that comes and like wants to transact documents with you, so you set up that trading partner in your existing like Sterling or Axway or any other products that you typically use. And then it has certain process like sharing some of the basic information for setting up the communication channel and all that, right? So it typically takes some time, and there is a process that is involved. Whereas if we talk about the other model, right, that is out there existing still as of today, and is very widely popular as well. It's not that people don't use it. Like I have seen very big companies, they don't have any traditional EDI slash middleware software, but they rely on this kind of WAN providers. Like there are companies like SPS Commerce, True Commerce, right, to name a few. So what this value added network or service provider does is that they take care of your overall EDI infrastructure, right? So for you, you are just let's say you as a company, right? On the left hand side, if you see in this diagram, and you have an external trading partner, for example, partner A, that wants to send or receive files. And the good thing about using value-added network is you don't have to host, and you don't have to bear the cost of hosting that specific traditional EDI software. You don't have to manage resources to maintain that infrastructure. All you have to do is based on, like, there are different uh, methodology of how you basically pay the for each and every document. Typically, like WAN providers, they have different pricing models. So it can be like per message, it can be like different pricing models are there, right? So all you are doing is like it's kind of a pay as you go model, right? Like based on number of messages, based on number of trading partners, things like that. There's a pricing methodology. Different WAN providers have different pricing model, and you typically just pay and then use their service. So what you do is, like, let's say for example, here's a fictitious scenario. So you have this XML document that is generated from your company's internal application, and then that XML has to be sent out to, let's say, partner A, and partner A only understands EDI documents, right? And let's say it is an order file. So what you do is you send that XML file as is to the WAN service provider's mailbox. So you get a mailbox or a slot, right? Just like a post box, right? You drop the message, right? All you need to do is, like, you need to have that connection between your company and your WAN service provider. Once the file lands into that specific mailbox, the WAN service provider, based on the agreement that you have set up and based on the details that you have initially shared during the onboarding of like your company and the partner that the file is supposed to be sent, WAN provider already knows what is the target file format. So let's say for our case here, okay, it's an EDI 850 file, and WAN service provider, okay, they typically take care of the translation part of it, right? So they receive this file in XML format, they will take care of the mapping, they will make sure the file is converted into an 850 EDI file, and then they push it, or they like maybe drop it in a different mailbox for partner A to consume, right? Based on whether it's a pull or push mechanism. They're pretty flexible, right? So, and then on the other side of it, right, is the same process. Like the partner has to send a file. Maybe it's an EDI 810 invoice file. It drops it or into the WAN service provider's mailbox specifically allocated for partner A, and then WAN service already knows that this has to be sent to your company, and then it does the translation, and then it sends it back to your company. Like maybe your company is just pulling the file or pushing, like it is flexible enough, right? So the good thing about having a WAN service provider is that maybe this partner A is already connected with the WAN service provider, because the partner A is not only doing business with your company, but it might be doing business with maybe other companies, and those other companies are already like using this WAN service provider, right? So there's already an existing communication protocol. So the overall onboarding process becomes very fast, right? So in some cases, there are different other use cases where it might take a little longer, right? But they have already an existing connection with them. All you need to do is you need to plug in your company, is like you need to create the channel between your company and WAN service provider, and that's all you need, right? With some customization based on like maybe the file formats and things like that, right? That's one thing. And the good thing, as I mentioned already, like you don't have to manage resources, maintain infrastructure and all that on your side of it, right? But it's not that like there are not like good things about having a traditional India software. There are, right? Like uh, the pros of having a traditional India is you basically manage, maintain, you basically determine, okay, what kind of file formats that you would deal with. Okay, if there are any changes, you don't have to rely on anyone else, right? And so there's a lot of flexibility in managing your own infrastructure as well, right? That's one piece of it. Then there's a lot of scenarios, okay, like when I did my support work in production support, right, I have done all kind of support. Like I've done like the traditional EDI kind of support as well as WAN service providers related. So the most challenging part that I have seen based on my personal experience is a lot of times the messages get lost without any trace, right? Like we know like the partner A has sent a file, but we haven't received it. And when we go back and check the logs and the UI that you get on from the WAN service provider, you don't file a trace of the file, and the WAN server doesn't have any clue of where the file is and all that, right? Did they ever receive it or not, right? So a lot of times this back and forth, okay, takes a long time, and there are a lot of revenue loss and things like that, right? Whereas if you have a point-to-point connection, okay, then it becomes little easier. Not that it becomes super easy, but it becomes little easier to track, trace, like any kind of file, like which might have got lost in during transmissions or is stuck in some mailboxes, things like that. So in respect to overall troubleshooting and getting like tracking those kind of like missed transfers are pretty easy, right? So this is just one of the other pros, okay, of having a traditional EDI software. So that's kind of the brief like uh, explanation of having a traditional EDI versus a WAN, and what is the difference between both of them. What are the pros and cons of them? I know maybe some of you have like experience working with WAN service providers. Some of you might have experience in traditional software. Please let me know in your comment section, right? If you have any specific questions around this EDI versus WAN network, right? And do you agree with me or not? If you have any other comments, thoughts, right, I would love to hear from all of you based on experience on this topic. With that, I'm going to conclude today's video. I hope it was useful to all of you, and those who are new to my channel. Again, I would like to request you to like, share and subscribe, and hit the bell icon for getting notified for more such videos. Thank you, and talk to you next week.